necessary for parents to actually ship their children back home. And when I say back home, I mean, if you're Nigerian, you know you're going to Nigeria. If you're Ghanaian, you're going to Ghana. If you're from the Caribbean, you know you're going back there. Okay, it's really, I actually think it's really necessary, and at some point it actually is justified. Now, yesterday I saw this comment by a girl saying how she doesn't understand why any parent would want to send their child back home, and that's lazy parenting. And I'm going to give my 2 cents on it, because this has been around for decades. When I say decades, like I've known about this, you're being shipped back home for a long time. Sometimes it gets to the point where a child misbehaves to the point it's like uncontrollable. Like when I say misbehave, it's not like little petty things, it's big issues. Like either this child has been mingling with people they shouldn't be mingling with, they're now, you know, dropping out of school, they're now doing all sorts of things that is actually going to endanger them as a person and their future. It's time for you as a parent to start thinking of taking them back home. Like when a child gets to the point they cannot be controlled, I'm sorry, like sometimes we actually need to learn how to drop the chit chat and take actions. Is necessary. Let me explain to you what this, when you get sent back home, what it does to you. First of all, when a child is sent back home, they are immediately humbled. And when you get sent back home, you realize that there is a humble beginning. There is a humble beginning where all the luxuries that your parents have provided you, you are now taking them for granted. When you get sent back home, as soon as you land in the airport, that's when you realize you were actually living a comfortable life. So that immediately just calms you down. Like your brain is already starting to reset, because you're like, oh, like, wow, this is different. Number 2, the fact that, you know, when they say it takes a village to raise a child, there is a whole village there that's ready to raise you. If you don't want to be raised properly, they're there to raise you. And it's not even like you're getting the work and shipping it to someone else. You're actively making sure that this person learns culture, value, morals, like respect, like, you know, discipline, like making sure that you're not getting involved in stupidity when you're back home. So if you're a parent and your child has gotten to the point where you as a parent that birthed them cannot control them, and I'm speaking as a nurse, as someone that loves children, that loves family, that's all for, you know, unity, send your child back home. Send your child, like, send them back home. It's not difficult. Get a ticket, put them in a boarding school back home. That's it.
Hey my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you are new, I hope you stay and you join the family. Welcome guys. Okay guys, so let me say this, right? It is true that children who grow up in Africa, who grow up in Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, Ghana, you know, who grow up on the continent, will typically have appreciation for values that maybe are not taken as necessarily important, you know, in the Western world. Respect for elders, how much we value even familial relationships, and, you know, just a bunch of things, right? I remember a friend who was born in the US, and then I think when they were about 10ish, because I know when she came to Nigeria, then she started secondary school. So, and she would tell me how, you know, how bringing it back to Nigeria really changed her and her siblings. That one of the things that they had to learn on landing in Nigeria was the fact that you had to learn how to caution your mouth. Like, there are some things you just don't say, like that. But back in America, before they came here, they didn't, like, children just said what they felt. They just said what they felt, right? They didn't feel like, but after coming here, and she said something to a woman that was visiting, and she was like, "You're always coming to our house to you know, either beg for money," something along that line. And that the way she was dealt with that day, and that over time she started to really, you know, take note of sometimes even unspoken nuances of, I don't think, can I say this here? She's older than me. Would it be disrespectful? You know, that she started taking note of things that she wouldn't have taken note of if she had continued in the US. Because here in Nigeria, for example, the truth is, you misbehave at home, you'll be dealt with. You go to school again, you misbehave at school, you'll be dealt with by your teacher. Your teacher will not even let your parents know. You know, so So I do agree that there are certain morals and values that honestly can only be inculcated in children in this part of the world. Because again, it is not just about you, the parents, it's about the surroundings, it is about, what is culturally the norm in the surroundings as well, that instills in children values. It is not just the parents, it is the environment as well. But however, let me say this: if you are an immigrant in the diaspora, wherever you live, the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, wherever you live, please stop referring to Africa like the land of punishment for your children. Visiting Africa should not be something that they get to do because they are being bad or because they need to be straightened out. Visiting Africa or visiting wherever country they are from in Africa should be part of an experience that you take as important, should be part of their experience growing up. They should visit Africa for holidays, they should visit when when there are occasions, so that they bond with their identity as an African and not just as their identity as American or wherever else they grew up. You should see it as important for them to also develop, a bond and a relationship with their African ancestry wherever they are from. It should not be a place that you are just talking about them visiting only when they need to be straightened out, or only when they need to be corrected, or given a firmer hand or something like that. Stop painting Africa like the land of punishment for your kids. Like, if you don't do this, if you don't behave, I'll send you to Africa. If you don't stop what I'm telling you to do, if you keep messing up, I'll send you back to Africa. You are making Africa seem like a jail term, like the place they get sentenced to when they do not behave. So already you're painting Africa to be this place that nothing good is there. It's not a place of enjoyment. It's a place that if you misbehave, you go to get punished. That is not a good way to paint the picture of Africa to your children. No. Or every time they hear you're on the phone call, you're always talking about how this auntie is calling me to beg for money. She's still in that country. She has refused to leave. And just the way you talk about your country around your children. And then all of a sudden, you want them to be proud of their heritage. You want them to be proud that they are Nigerian. You want them to be proud that they are Ghanaian. You want them to be proud that they are Kenyan. You want them to be proud of their identity as an African. Do you see the clash? Do you see now that the values you're trying to teach your children are clashing? On the one hand, you've never painted your country or the continent to them as something positive. But then, on the other hand, you want them to be proud that that's where they're from. You want them to say when they're asked in school, oh, I'm Nigerian. My parents are originally Kenyan. Really? I hope you are seeing the clash. So please, when you're talking to your children about Africa, talk about the positives. I'm not saying you should sugarcoat the issues. Yes, it is true. Because you notice when this woman, when she spoke, she said, the moment you land first in Nigeria, you will know that, oh, you've been enjoying where you're coming from. You've been enjoying some comfort. It humbles you when you get here, when you see, I'm guessing she means is it the suffering? I don't really know. Or does she mean the hot weather? I don't really know exactly what she meant by the moment you land here, it will hit you because you look at everywhere and be like, oh my God, this place is this. And this is well, to an extent, that's type of true, where it's coming from is generally a more organized society, right? However, when you're talking about Africa to your children, talk about it in a positive way. Oh, come look at this festival. Look at this. This is called the Calabar Festival. This is something festival. I used to attend this when I was a child. Oh my God, they're one of my fond memories. If you guys behave this holiday, if you do go to Africa, I will make sure you guys get to see this festival. Oh my God, look at this food. This was my mom's favorite dish when she was so and so. I really want to try this. Whenever I visit Kenya, whenever I visit Nigeria, I'll make sure you guys try this. Do you get what I'm saying? Make the place a place where they feel they would like to visit. Because irrespective of all of the negatives that we know, Africa is a beautiful continent. And there are so many positives about this continent, despite all of the challenges. See, guys, I'm not trying to sugarcoat the challenges that we are experiencing in Nigeria, in other African countries. All I am saying is, if you know you are giving birth to your children in the diaspora, you definitely do not want them to have an identity crisis. So all I'm saying is, even when you bring them here, when you bring them to visit, I understand that you want them to feel the local feel and everything, but please don't rush and carry them to the village where they will start to farm and dig. Those are nice experiences, okay? But I'm saying, first of all, let them experience, all of the urban areas. Let them stay at hotels. Let them go to the nice restaurants here. Let them know that all of these things do happen in this place too. And then you can now take them to the village. You can now make them experience village life as well, just so they know that is not, Africa is not one single story. Make them see that yes, there are the villages, there are the places where they have to fetch water to take their bath, but there are also places where they are almost very similar to where they are coming from as well, just so they know that they are fastest to this thing. So again, I'm not saying you shouldn't tell your children, you shouldn't take your children back to Africa. However, even if you're trying to paint pictures to them that, oh, I'm going to send you back because you need a firmer hand, you need a firmer training. Also let them know it's just that maybe the culture will be different and that they need that type of different cultural integration for them to understand what you are trying to teach them. Because again, let's face it, sometimes it's not like the children themselves are terrible, it's not like children themselves are bad, but if you are, as I said before, if you give birth to them in the diaspora, the things that instills values in children is not just family, it is the environment, it is what is the cultural norm where they live. So despite you trying to instill in them the values that you have been instilled in you as a result of growing up in Africa, you're trying to instill it in your children, but what you're trying to instill in them and what the society where they live tells them is the norm is different. So it's clashing, and a lot of children, immigrant children, struggle with that clash. Again, parents have to put all of this into consideration. So however, as I said, it is not bad to bring your children over. Honestly, I feel like parenting is up to the parent. I really feel like, except you are incapable of being a parent, you are not alive, or you are somehow incapable of parenting your child, I really do not I do not support at all the idea of delegating your role as a parent to somebody else while you're alive. I do not buy that idea at all. I believe that raising your children is 100% your responsibility. However, if you are, want to stay in diaspora, you want your children to learn, you want them to maybe be in a boarding school here, maybe stay with their grandparents during holidays and all of that, well, you might, or maybe they get to travel back during the holidays. We have children here in boarding schools who are away from home, right, during school term, and then they only come home during holidays. So it will just be like your child is going to a boarding school but now in Nigeria, and then during holidays, maybe part of the holidays spend some weeks with their grandparents or families here, and then they travel back for the holidays. But it's a double-edged sword, I would say. It's a double-edged sword. One thing I cannot dispute is the fact that children definitely get more values instilled in them when they grow up in this part of the world. So yes, if you're a parent and you want to do that, you go ahead and do that, okay? However, if a type of parents that also believes that it is your responsibility to look after your children, then I think, as I said before, just try to create a balance between the values that you have as an African and what is the norm in the parts of the world where you live. So in summary, if you want to bring your children over, bring them over, but please do not make Africa seem like the land of punishment. This is a beautiful continent. There are so many things to enjoy here, and make them appreciate the continent, make them appreciate their identity as an African, as a black person, so that even before they visited the continent, they can probably say they're Nigerian, they can probably say where they are from without feeling already inferior. The media has already done enough of telling them that where they are from is inferior as a continent to other parts of the world. It's already telling them that. So you do not want to contribute to that as a parent, okay? I remember watching a video where a mom was saying that one of the reasons why she wants a child to be here is the fact that she realized that children who school here or who live in Africa generally before they move down to wherever in diaspora tend to have more confidence, they tend to have more sense of self as a person, as a black person, and they are not easily intimidated by the white person or feel like, oh, they're inferior. If something happens, they don't easily say, oh, is it because I'm black? Or like children who grow up there and who have been like exposed to sometimes the subtle racism their whole lives, and so they have developed a complex naturally as a result of growing up there. So some parents feel like they want to protect their children from all that mess, and they want them to grow up in a society in Nigeria, for example, where they grow up to develop a sense of self and pride, no matter, you know. And so when they come back, you cannot make them feel some type of way about being Nigerian or about their, you know, identity of their parents. Again, it's a double-edged sword. There are pros and cons to this.
Whatever you do, make sure that it is in the best interest of the child, and Africa should not be the dumping ground for stubborn children or children that I feel need punishment. However, I do understand what the lady at the beginning of the video was saying. I'm not misunderstanding her. I understand what she means, that children here, yes, do get more value. We have more, you know, general respect. You can't talk anyhow now. You will see, you receive water, you know. So I do understand that aspect, but as I said, it's a double-edged sword, and parents do need to find a balance. Okay, immigrant parents in diaspora do need to find a balance in raising of their children.
Don't forget to like the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye guys.